In this episode of Fighting Together, I am going to talk to you about the website. That's the Fighting Together website. Yeah, I want to break down some of the things that you can expect, to go through those features one by one. Now, sit back, relax, and let's get ready to rumble! I miss wrestling so much.
You are listening to Fighting Together. We are fighting to make a positive impact in our God-hungry communities.
Are you tired of consuming the same old content? Bored by the lack of variety? Stick around. Maybe this podcast will help.
Before we dig into the features, before we talk about the website, I just wanted to throw the domain out there so that you can visit it, bookmark it, check it out. It's dailypodcast.show. That's www.dailypodcast.show. That's the website. That's the home of Fighting Together. Right. Now, let's talk about why on earth we need a website. Short answer is we want the content to reach as far as possible, to as many people as possible. I'm amazed when we go into the Bible, when we dig into the Bible, where Jesus was preaching to 5,000 people. And whew, I've tried talking, and I'm someone who projects his voice quite loudly, but 5,000 people is a lot of people around you. That's a lot of people. I've looked into that whole thing, and some people are on the side of it worked because of the positioning and the mountains, or some were saying the people were seated, others were saying it's a miracle in itself, blah blah blah. And I don't want to get into all those philosophical debates. The thing is, 5,000 people, Jesus talked all of them head, and that's just amazing. Luckily for us, we now have digital platforms, websites, social media, etc., etc. So with a single website, we can now reach a lot of people. And the thing now is, when you put your content on any platform like YouTube, there are some places where YouTube is not available. There are some companies that block and don't allow people to access YouTube while they're at the workplace. There are schools that don't allow that, etc., etc. So I didn't want to limit our project on social media platforms alone. We shall use them because that's where the people are, but we also need a website, a place where we know that even when a certain government of any country shuts down social media, whether the country is India or Russia or China or America or Zimbabwe or Congo, wherever, if they shut down social media, I don't want people to then miss out on episodes of Fighting Together. So a website is great because at least it's always there for you, you know, and you don't need to have an account. Whereas with social media, if you're in a country where the platform is not accessible, you can't have an account, and ultimately you can't get to the content. So there is the reason why we need a website, and now I'm excited because I've put that out of the way. Now, after the break, we shall talk about the different features, the different types of content you can expect on dailypodcast.show. My name is Tafadzwa, and you're listening to Fighting Together.
These days, the internet is filled with toxic content, politics, and depressing news. If you want a bit of refuge from all that chaos, then visit www.dailypodcast.show, where we give you hope, hymns, and something different.
While I'm going through the features that I'm about to tell you, the things, the content that you can expect on www.dailypodcast.show. While I'm going through all those features, I'm going to throw in a hymn or two here and there, like a song or two, so that this doesn't become too flat and too boring, you know. Yeah. Feature number 1, let's talk about a section that's primarily focused on children. This is a section where you can section. This is a section. Whew. Yeah. I should just do this in my native tongue instead of English, and just speak in Shona. Anyway, this is a section where you can expect some animations. I will work with different people, mostly people who are in the congregation closest to me. That's the Church of Christ congregation. That's the Church of Christ congregation that's quite close to me here in Chitungwiza. And I want to have animated kids content where they can watch cartoon characters. I know primarily the website is a podcast website, and most of the music we'll have is going to be audio music. But to keep children engaged, to keep children entertained, we shall then take some of the music, especially the children ministry music, the Sunday school music, and animate it so that it's hosted there on the website as videos. I'm talking about music like Paivane Vaskana Vaive Gumi, Paivane Vaskana, you know, and it's essentially singing about the 10 virgins, and 5 of them were foolish, 5 of them were wise, blah, 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 you know, and stuff like Rudo rwashe rwakakura sedenderedzwa, rudo rwashe rwakakura sedenderedzwa, big and round, eseko big and round. Unfortunately for you, I am not a good singer, but I think you get the gist of it. So animations are going to be a feature you can expect on the website. When you go there, there shall be podcast episodes, and under the content of the podcast, where you get like text summary, blah, 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 you know, some words and so on and so on. You, in some cases, will find videos where it's essentially stuff to keep kids engaged. Yeah, so let's take another quick break. After the break, I shall move on to the next feature. And this next feature is for all those parents who are no longer in Zimbabwe, Zimbabweans who left the country. They are now in foreign countries, whether it's UK, America, South Africa. This particular feature is not only for you, but it's something that's really, really helpful, particularly to you. It's not just for you, but it will be very helpful and exciting. And not just those Zimbabweans who have left. It's also for people who have never been in Zimbabwe. People who are not from Zimbabwe, have never visited Zimbabwe. Or maybe you visited Zimbabwe once or twice or whatever, you know. Or maybe you're even married to a Zimbabwean, but you yourself are not a Zimbabwean. The next feature that I shall introduce after the break is something you cherish. Stick around.
This podcast was brought to you by www.dailypodcast.show.
There's a stirring deep within me. Could it be my time has come? When I see my gracious Savior face to face, when all is done, is that his voice I am hearing? Come away, my precious one. Is he calling me? Is he calling me? I will rise up, I'll rise up, then I'll bow down.
Before that rather long break, yeah, I talked about how you get people who are Zimbabweans that left the country and they're now living abroad. And while they're abroad, they now have their children there. Or you get people who are not Zimbabwean, who are married to Zimbabweans. Or people who just love languages from other countries. This feature that you can expect on dailypodcast.show is something you might love. I now want to use the platform, the website that's coming soon, to also not just give you the podcast, but give you some lessons on Shona. Shona is my native language, so the website will have a place where you can learn Shona. And I'm not a language teacher, unfortunately for you. But the thing now is the Bible has been translated into a lot of languages. So what we're going to do as Fighting Together, we are going to use the Bible as our textbook in a way where, let me just give you an example. Quickly, where can I go? I am currently on, in the Bible, I'm on Luke chapter 2, right? So in Luke chapter 2, when I go down to verse 15, it says, and this is the English Bible, when the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, let's go to Bethlehem. Oh, okay. If you're hearing some noises, my dog is trying to sleep under the table. Sorry about that. Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about. So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. Right. So there in itself, between there within Luke chapter 2, verse 15 to 16, in those two verses, we have heard shepherds, we have heard angels, we've heard about going to Bethlehem, we have heard about babies, a baby being born, we have heard about a mother and a father. So that in itself is something that we would then use as a story that we break into a language teaching material. Because in Shona it says, vatumwa vakati vabva kwavari, uye vaenda kudenga, vafudzi vakataurirana vachiti, handei kuBheterehema, tindoona chinhu chaitika ichi, chataudzwa nezvacho naShe. Saka vakakurumbidza kusimuka, vakaenda, vakandowanda Maria naJosefa nomwana akange avete muchidyiro chezvipfuwo. Now I've just read the two verses in Shona. And what the website is now going to do, and this is something that might take a little bit of time to set up, is that the website is going to have a place where we can break down the words to say the word mother, the word father, the word baby, and have that, the word angel, and have it all broken down for you based off the Bible story and translated into English back and forth so that you can teach your child some Shona. Yeah, you could be a Zimbabwean who left the country and you're trying to get your child excited about Shona. We won't just stop at the Bible because we're not translating the verses. What we're doing is that we'll use this as a starting point to talk about family structures. Because this is a story about the birth of a baby, because there is a mother, a father, and a baby in this story, in these verses, we can now go on to add other family relations like uncles, grandparents, aunts and nephews and cousins. We can now talk about them even though they are not necessarily in those verses. But we used that corner of the Bible to kind of propel the lesson, to kind of initiate, to kick-start the lesson. And after we're done with the family side of it, we can move on to vafudzi, those guys. And those guys look after livestock. And being people who do that, we can now break into farm life. Talk about pigs, the English word for pigs, the Shona word for pigs, the the English word for cow, the Shona word for cow, etc., etc. And I'm very excited about that feature. Yeah, so Fighting Together is the name of the podcast. www.dailypodcast.show is the website we are talking about. Some of these features, like I've said, will take a little bit more time to set up, but that is one of the features, that is one of the reasons why you need to get excited about the website. One little thing I need to add in there is that all this content will be free. The only thing that we might have to sell so that the project can sustain itself and make a bit of money so that we can even get more equipment, get more people, and make it fully functional. The only thing that might be for sale is on this whole language project. We might make books, language books, where it's essentially a Bible verse, and then you open the next page and it's the Shona version, the Shona words, the Shona explanations, and moving on to English, like alternating between the two. We're still working out how to do it, but that might be a thing which you would find in a store, and maybe some t-shirts here and there, so that the Fighting Together project can have some income come in, so that we can expand on the equipment that we already have, the equipment that's on its way, can have more stuff added onto it. We can, I don't know, the sky is the limit. Yeah, we can cover the hosting expenses, we can cover the website expenses and all the other stuff, and I'm very excited. But the good news is, for the most part, every other piece of content, apart from those books and maybe some t-shirts, every other piece of content is free. Shall we take another break? I think so. After this break, I shall move on to the final feature. Stick around. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I hope you're getting excited about what the website shall bring.
If you are enjoying this podcast, then I think you are going to love our website. Visit www.dailypodcast.show.
I am very sad to say you have now reached the final segment of today's episode. My name is Tafazwa. This is Fighting Together, and the last feature we shall dig into is the music library. Yeah, I think this feature is going to be probably one of the most exciting ones. Come to think of it, all of them are exciting. The language one is exciting, the animation one is exciting, but the music one also holds a special place, because what I'll then do is I'm going to use this website as a place where you can find archives of hymns that have been sung. I will go to different congregations, record different hymns. Just think of the hymns that you grew up hearing, the hymns that I sang today, and try and find them on YouTube, try and find them on the internet. If you're a native English speaker, I think that could be a very easy thing to do, yeah, because English content is all over the internet. But if you're a native Shona speaker like I am, you will struggle to find a lot of the Shona hymns that are near and dear to our hearts. When you look for them on the internet, they are nowhere to be found. So dailypodcast.show is going to have bundles, like albums of some sort, where you can have 5 hymns bundled together, ready for you to just hit play and listen to for free. Let me throw it in here before we go any further that this website, www.dailypodcast.show, is not the only website that's in the works. There is another website, a Church of Christ website, which is www.churchofchrist.co.zw, where you'll be able to also go to and hear different sermons from different preachers, and actual sermons actual Bible lessons where they target on specific subjects. Because sometimes when you walk into a church building, they are in the middle of something that they've already been doing. You might be new and you might have questions, but it's not every day that those basic questions you have might be attended to. They might not be asked, or maybe because you're new, you are too shy or lack the courage or the familiarity to raise your hand and ask about a certain question or whatever that is like stuff that you want to know about. The beauty of that other upcoming churchofchrist.co.zw website is that it will have sections where preachers from different congregations, but mostly preachers from the Chitungwisa congregation, will sit down and do lessons that are recorded and freely available on subjects like baptism, on subjects like marriage, etc., 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 and I can't even imagine. I can't imagine how much impact such a website is going to have, not just in my community, not just in the country, but to all the people out there who are hungry for such content. Now, back to the music. Like I said, the final feature that's going to be made available on the Fighting Together website, which is www.dailypodcast.show. It's not a .com, it's not a .net, it's not a .org website, it's .show. The final feature that's there is the library, where you will find a lot of hymns waiting for you. I'm talking about hymns like the Shona version of Amazing Grace. There's nothing wrong with the English version, but sometimes certain things hit differently when they are given to you, when they are served to you in your own native language. So we could have all those versions freely available on the website. And I'm also talking about hymns like Itai Tenzi Izozwa Munoda, hymns like Zvikomborero Kunemi, hymns like Satani Wakambondiedza, hymns like Ngandibereke Mapudzi, She Ndinonzwa Matumira, She Ndinonzwa Matumira, Vamwe mweya wenyu. All those hymns that you grew up singing, hymns that you sing, hymns that you hum while you're doing the dishes are going to be waiting for you there. Once all the production processes happen, once everything comes together, bookmark the website www.dailypodcast.show. And don't forget to also remember that there is a second website that's also being cooked on the side, www.churchofchrist.co.zw. But in this episode, we're primarily focused on the Fighting Together website, the dailypodcast.show website. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you're excited, and I hope everything will come together beautifully. It's a lot of work, but let's have faith that it shall happen. Have a blessed day. My name is Tafadzwa, and you were listening to Fighting Together.
This podcast was made possible through an independent crowdfunding campaign. Visit www.dailypodcast.show if you want more episodes.